Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Salami, and today we're just following up on the last video I did on Helldivers. So I've had a few comments, which I love to have a conversation with people, and here's a few of them. I'll just put them on the screen so I'm not putting them out of context or anything like that, and I think they're all fair to say, so I thought we'll talk about it some more. So I've seen a couple of people saying they're getting locked 30 and another person saying they're getting 45 frames, and that footage I just showed you at the start of this video is everything set to low, which I'll put in the video coming up in the next section with, I wouldn't say recommended settings because it's the bare minimum, and I'm not getting anywhere near to a locked 30. So I don't know what the secret source is. I'm using cryo utilities, everything's on minimum. I'm below the I'm under the native resolution of the Steam Deck. As you can see, we've got the Steam Deck covering some of the slack with FSR enabled through this system. So I'm not too sure where these people are getting, I can't figure out how they're getting locked 30s or 45. The OLED is maybe where that's coming from. I'm not that lucky. I have a launch, well, not a launch Steam Deck, but only a 256 from a year ago, over a year and a half ago. So maybe that has something to do with it. But I can't confirm that. So today is just, you know, I'm going to go through over what my settings are, and then we can just have a general discussion on, I think, performance on Steam Deck games compared to their console or PC equivalent. I think that's a story worth talking about, or, you know, an item worth talking about, because I think inflated expectations of that it must be at a locked frame rate I don't think is fair for the Steam Deck because of what it is. I know that ideally everything should be a locked frame rate of 60 or 30, or, you know, with the variable frame rate on the OLED and stuff you can get away with a bit more. But I think we really need to be aware of the limitations of this device and not worry about I've put in currently, I'm just looking, basically 6 hours of time of Helldivers on Steam Deck, and loved every second of it. Dropping everything to super low and using the upsampling that the game has as an option on top of the Steam Deck's FSR it's not a great looking game played this way. As you can see in the footage behind you, it's playable, but I think you have to be aware of that limitation, and you know, losing the shinies for the bare minimum of a couple of extra frames here that I don't think I don't know whether it's worth it or not. I'm going to stick with it for now and see how I go. I don't know if I'll do another follow-up video to this, but I really want you guys to let me know what settings you're using and what kind of frame rates you're getting, because honestly, I can't quite grasp those numbers that I'm getting from some people here, especially the locked on 30 and 45. I can't see it unless I'm doing something really wrong here, which hopefully I'm not. Otherwise, I need to give up my day. I need to go back to my day job a little bit more and stop making videos altogether, because clearly I'm doing it wrong. But I really want to talk about this some more, so I'm going to jump over now. We're going to have a look at what my settings are before I jumped into this mission, and then we're going to get back to some more conversation. All right, we'll see you on the other side. So here we are. I'm just going to jump into the settings real quick. As you can see, I've got the display on 720 and I've got it windowed, so the Steam Deck turns on FSR from within system settings, which I'm just going to show you before we go through the rest of the graphics. But I'm just going to point out now that when we go through the graphics thing, everything is on low. There's nothing else really to change, so I'm at the bare minimum of settings. As you can see, FSR on, and I've got the ultra quality render scale on. If you go to anything other than that ultra quality, it's drawing from such a low resolution that the game looks like a cartoon, and I just can't do that. So I decided not to do that. And so when you're on the ship, it sits at basically 30. I know that front window, which is a good stress test, because I know beforehand that if you stood in that window with my previous settings, you would get dropped frames, but with these and the super resolution enabled from within the game, super scaling, resolution, whatever, it's slightly better. So yeah, that's the settings. Nothing to write home about. Everything on below native resolution, so Steam Deck turns on FSR, and then apart from that, that's it. And we'll go back to some more gameplay, and we'll talk some more about how I feel about all this. So I think as this generation of gaming goes on, we're going to have to be aware that more and more games aren't going to run at a solid frame rate, especially new games. Okay, we got things like Ghost of Tsushima coming out, we've got Forbidden West coming out, and even though Ghost of Tsushima and Forbidden West came out on PS4, which you would think would automatically mean they'll run great, I'm not too sure about that. And so, you know, it's going to be a bit of a wait game to see how things run and how things look. And then you've got other games coming out which I'm really excited for, like Dragon's Dogma 2. I have a feeling that game is off the cards entirely for Steam Deck. And as this generation goes on, I think some games are just going to become out of reach until we get a Steam Deck 2, or we change over to a ROG Ally, which is really not what I want. I love the Steam Deck, and I don't really want to buy another system unless it's a Steam Deck 2. So it's one of those things, isn't it, where it's pick your poison, right? And that is, I guess, a side effect of handheld gaming. Switch seems to get away with it, but because that's a closed platform, I feel like the games normally run okay on there. There's a few exceptions, as you can probably, that come to mind, like the Batman trilogy that just released earlier in the year for Switch, which is meant to be goddamn awful. But I really want to have a conversation about how you feel about performance in Steam Deck, and if it really matters to you to that much a degree. Like in my videos, I always try to go for a locked 30 or 60 for you guys, but if you can't get it, you can't get it, right? And of course, I may be missing some secret sauce here, so I really want to know what you guys think about this going forward, and if I'm wrong here, and that I should be always aiming for a locked FPS for everything all the time, or if it's okay not to do that. And so I really want to have a conversation about performance, and I think Helldivers 2 is a good candidate to talk about it, because it's a game that's massive at the moment, and it works on Steam Deck, but it's not perfect, right? So it's that weird in between where it's like, it's playable, but this should be your primary way to play it. And for me, it has to be, because I'm locked into this ecosystem of Steam Deck, and I want to make it work every time, all the time. And so I'm trying really hard to make this my primary gaming platform, with PS5 on the side for things like Final Fantasy Rebirth. I look at something like Rebirth, and I don't even think, I have a feeling when that does eventually come to PC, that's a Steam Deck 2 game. I don't think that's a Steam Deck 1 game. Just because of the scale of it. I would love to be proven wrong, but I'm pretty sure Rebirth would not work on a Steam Deck unless you're ruining the look of it. And that's my thing with Helldivers, is I don't want to ruin the look. It's a great looking game, but it just, the performance wise on the Steam Deck is just not there. So anyway guys, that's enough of me rambling. I really want to have a constructive conversation about this, because I am curious where people are sitting, and I know some people have said, oh no, I'm not picking it up now because of those low frame rates. But again, that was me in my previous video having some of those shiners turned on. Maybe if I had them turned off and had everything set to low, those 2 extra frames would have said to someone, that's okay, I'll buy it now. And so I don't want to be the person that's, yeah, I like to just give people, to show them what it's like and then the possibilities of what else you could do. And so that's what this video is. It's just a follow-up to say, you know, like, this is just my thoughts and my personality on how games should look. As I'm not a graphics guy, like, gameplay is king, story is, for me, even bigger. So a good story will keep me involved in your game any longer than any kind of combat or performance check, you know. So you, like I say, going back to PS1 or 2, playing, you know, Final Fantasy 7 on a PS2 was not a great performant game, but that story kept me involved, and along with other RPGs in the PS2 era that were struggled to keep their frames up during the high action scenes and stuff. So, you know, it's a hard one. Like Shadow of the Colossus would be a prime example. That game did not run well on the PS2, but the story and the atmosphere kept you playing, right? It didn't matter that the frames were dropping like mad, because everything else around it was so good. And so that brings me to Helldivers 2, where the gameplay is so good, I want to keep playing even at these lowered settings, but, you know, how low do you go? And you're still not getting that locked 30, right? So it's like, maybe you just have some of the shonies on and take a hit to that performance, because you're never going to get that solid 30 or 60 or 45 anyway. So that's my 2 cents on the matter. Thanks for listening to my ramble, and I will see you guys in the next video, which, by the way, is going to be way off course, because I've been playing something that I did not expect, and you guys will probably be surprised. I don't know how well you guys will enjoy that video, but it is what it is. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.